What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Fatboyz Dynasty Podcast, coming at you live on the Fantasyholics YouTube channel, presented by the Fantasyholics Podcast Network. I'm Bo. That is Brant. Brant, first and foremost, I know we've got a show way too early, Dynasty Top 10s to talk about for startups for next season. I'm excited to get into that. Really excited to talk about some of these rookie running backs. There's a running back situation we got to talk about before we get started on this show and get too deep here. What's going on in San Francisco?
Well, before we get too far into that, we need to make sure we get our bibs on.
No, I want to talk about this before we hit the intro.
Oh, you want to do this before we hit the intro? Okay. Well, you got everybody hurt. That's what's going on. And then they signed, you and me talked about it at work. One name we thought they'd sign is Wakanda Forever, as our buddy would call him, because nobody could
Israeli Abanikanda.
Yeah, and you and me both said that would be a good fit for him. And then I think they added somebody else they cut whenever they had to get CMC off of the waivers or off of the IR. I don't remember who it was. Tracy Terry, I think. I know I have this name wrong.
So CMC to the IR. Shocking development right after CMC was placed on the IR. It was like, wait a minute, Jordan Mason's on the IR. There was like a 5-minute window, Brant, where Jordan Mason owners were doing happy dances, going, hey, I held this guy. He was great for 9 weeks. I held him, and now he's about to shine like a sweet baby Jesus for this playoff run. And that rug got yanked out from him really quick. Now, that's the part of it I want to talk about. After we come back from the intro, I want your take on this backfield the rest of the season.
Absolutely. It's Patrick Taylor is the guy that they just picked up as well. They cut him to get CMC back on the roster and then picked him right back up into the practice squad. But Let's get our bibs on.
Now let's see. All right, Brant, I know you got the game on in the background. You're focusing on that too. But if you had the number one overall waiver claim in your league, Isaac Guerindo's out there, Israeli Abanikanda's out there, Taylor's out there, Kyle Juszczyk's out there, some of these guys that probably going to get more run. Who are you wasting that number one waiver claim? I say waste. Who are you using that number one waiver claim on? Is there one you feel more confidently about than the other?
I'm wasting on the rookie Isaac. How do you say the last name again?
Guerindo.
Guerindo. I'm wasting it on him. He's a speedy back out of Louisville. Yumi broke him down at the beginning of the year. He was a back that I liked going into the season. He just happened to fall into a backfield that is crowded. Well, that crowd has now surfaced, spread out. This is a good ball player. He handles it. This is a good offensive line. This right here could be your league-winning back. I'm not going to tell you he's going to go hang 30 points every single week, like CMC has that opportunity. But this is a guy that you're missing Ayuk there. Brock Purdy's been banged up. You have no Ayuk. You have no Mason. Elijah Mitchell's out. So you're down to the bare bones, and I think they're going to give this rookie a run, and let's see what he's capable of. Who knows? Maybe if he's capable of enough, they can trade him off to get pieces. Maybe they can move CMC if they want to start a rebuild. See what they maybe want to do with the future. I'm using my claim on him. I originally had all my claims in for Mason, and then had to go switch them all really fast as soon as I saw that IR this morning. But they're all in there for the rookie out of Louisville.
Okay, so yeah, Isaac Guerindo is probably my choice too, but I could see the case for Israeli Abanikanda because listen, Abanikanda was a beast coming out of Pittsburgh. He was one of those guys that we were like, man, if he falls to a running back desperate situation, he could burst onto the seam. And in typical NFL fashion, instead the Jets draft him in the same draft where they draft Brees Hall, and he's completely irrelevant. And then the next year, they draft another bell cow, or guy that would be a bell cow, in my opinion, without the other, in Braylon Allen. Just left there to be no room for Israeli Abanikanda. And I don't blame the Jets for trying to keep him on their practice squad. I think he's a hell of a player who, if the Jets ever had an injury of their own, they would have loved to have activated. I think he comes in and I think he gets some run. I don't think first of all, Kyle Shanahan, one of the biggest complaints prior to getting CMC was that he rotated backs all the time back when Mostert was in San Fran. And, Tevin Coleman and some of the other names back in the day, you never knew which one to play, and it was super frustrating to own. I could see Kyle Shanahan going back, especially the season kind of feels like it's almost over. I know it's not, but a loss this week to the Chicago Bears, I think, would put them reeling. I don't think they invest too much at the position. I think they run a bunch of different guys out. However, I think this week, to try to be healthy, or not to be healthy, to try to be competitive and to try to win, what I told you at work is what I think happens. I think you see a lot of Debo, a lot of design touches for Debo. He's the closest thing in that offense as far as CMC-like plays out of the backfield. So I think you see Debo lined up all over the place this year. I'll be interested to see how that happens. Kyle Shanahan really didn't do that much when CMC was down in the beginning, but there was the Ayuk issues and trying to keep things, healthy outside. But at this point, hey, got to put all the chips in the center of the table, and you got to go all in and go for it, because that division's still there. But San Fran's one loss away, in my opinion, from being out of that conversation. So I think it'll be some interesting coaching out of Kyle Shanahan this week. Last thing I want to say on this before I let you rebuttal me, Brant, is if you have waiver claim 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever, you're not confident in your chances to go get Isaac Garindo, I think you're okay to put a claim in on Israeli Abanikanda too, because I do think he gets some run.
Absolutely. I think he's going to start as the third back, just because Patrick has been in San Fran before. He's been activated. He's played there. I think he's got like 25 or 30 rushing yards this season.
I agree with you.
It's only going to be a week or two. And honestly, I think this week you are going to see it's going to be Debo and Garindo is going to be the backfield this week. And then you'll start seeing the other two starting to get cycled in. So absolutely anywhere. I have waiver claim 10, and I think I have one in for all three of them, because who knows, maybe Taylor does come out and puts his foot in the ground and just takes off with a little bit of chance or work that he does get. But we know how good this offensive line is. We know how good all these running backs are. We know how much they like to use the running back. So they are all worth a waiver claim this week. And I'm hoping the Bears can put a win on the San Francisco 49ers. As much as we bag on them in the podcast, I gotta cheer for them a little bit this week.
All right. Fair enough. All right. That's enough about that. Let's get into the interesting or the exciting part of this episode. I'm ready to talk about these top 10 startups. I'm ready to see how different you and I feel about some players.
Before we jump right into that, I do have one more name I wanted to bring up for a waiver claim of a possibility guy that, if you were the CMC owner and you do have a late waiver claim, go out and grab Chris Rodriguez from the Washington Commanders. He's owned in less than 5% of leagues. B-Rob's had injury problems. Austin Eckler just went to the IR. Chris Rodriguez, I think, was averaging like 6 or 7 yards per carry this past. Here's where the catch is. 12 of the 13 running back touches in the fourth quarter went to Chris Rodriguez this week. This is a guy that, if you just happen to lose out on CMC, or you may lose out on that San Francisco backfield, don't hesitate to put this down there as another waiver claim.
Yeah, I actually like Chris Rodriguez. I don't know if I love him enough that I want to roster him. Maybe I could be convinced. It would depend on, but here's the thing. He got those carries in a blowout game where there was no contest. Tennessee was so far behind, it didn't mean anything at that point. But he did. He averaged 7 yards per carry. Now, here's the interesting thing, Brant. Brian Robinson got him when it mattered. 6.4 yards a carry for him. Just saying. The B-Rob love will never die on this show until it does, but it's not
No,
there
absolutely
yet.
not. And we just know that B-Rob
No,
does
I
have
agree.
injury
I
problems.
hear what you're saying. I'm not
Yeah.
rebuttaling what you're saying at all. I think your logic makes a lot of sense. If B-Rob were to go down, which knock on wood, he does not. I own way too many shares of him, but Chris Rodriguez would be a very nice replacement to CMC if that were to happen. So yeah, I hear what you're saying in deeper leagues. If Rodriguez is out there, and you can't get one of these San Francisco backs, I'd probably take Rodriguez over Taylor myself early. Maybe if Taylor comes out and has a role, that's different. But anyway, all right, now let's go ahead and get into these top tens. So we're going to do this a little bit differently. Brant's going to, briefly tell me why he likes his player at number 10. I'm going to say why I don't like that player at 10. Then I'm going to do mine, same back and forth, roll through it. It won't take as long as it sounds. It's going to be fun. All right, Brant, start us off with your number 10. Tell me why you love him.
You're not going to argue this one at all. You're not. I got Mr. Drake London, 23-year-old wide receiver out of the Atlanta Falcons. I love what he's doing with Kirk Cousins. He's got Michael Penix there, already starting to work on that little chemistry there. He's probably going to get his extension. He's been there 2 years now, correct? So he has at least
3 years. This is his year 3.
So he has at least one more year before they have to pick up the option or extend him. And I like what your offense is putting together. And you guys are really, just consistent quarterback play away from being a legit offensive juggernaut in the NFL. We've seen you guys be able to do it. I absolutely love Drake London moving forward this year and in future years. And he's only 23 years old.
Yeah. So my reasoning behind not loving Drake London in the top 10 is this, and it's very simply put. Who knows who's under center next year? Yeah, Penix is starting to look good, but he was kind of a deep ball specialist in Washington. I think that bodes better to a Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod type. It'd be interesting to see how he matches up with Drake London. I think Drake London's one of the more physical wide receivers in football, but I could see the argument for him being outside of the top 10. I don't hate it, but I don't necessarily love him at 10. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. All right, Brant, here's my number 10, and I'm going to talk to you about this one too. I've got Devon Achane, 23 years of age, at my number 10 spot, one of several running backs I have in my top 10. This is a guy you and I sold off on this year, probably a little prematurely because we thought Raheem Mostert would have a bigger role than he did. We thought, oh goodness, it's going to elude me right now.
Jalen Wright.
There you go. Jalen Wright was probably going to carve a bigger role for himself initially, and it's been all Achane. And even when Tua was out and that offense was anemic, somehow he was putting up numbers and staying relevant. Here's the thing. Mostert's probably gone next year. Tua should be fully healthy, hopefully, for a season. I don't know if you can say that necessarily. But, man, this offense is starting to wheel and deal. They're finding that tight end spot, which I think buys some pressure off the line of scrimmage. I really like Devon Achane moving forward. Again, he's got that extreme burst of speed that everybody in that offense has to have to play for Mike McDaniel. But, man, he gets one touch. He could take it 75 yards to the house, Brant, and that's the electricity that I want on my roster. Got Devon Achane at 10. Tell me what you think of that.
One of my biggest things is injury concern. He missed some time last year. He hasn't missed any this year, but he's only 188 pounds. Carrying a full workload is going to be tough for this year, but let's talk about it. 7, 10, 12, 12, 10, 3, 10, 11, 10. Those are the majority of his games. He doesn't see more than 12 carries. He has 1, 2, 3 games over 12 carries. And you're right, the explosiveness is there, but I don't know if enough work will be there for Achane to be a top 10 back consistently at 188 pounds. Once the NFL catches up, or if they can catch up with him. Now, if they don't, then yeah, he probably will be there, but eventually they'll be scheming for people to be keeping an eye on that one, and I don't know if those burst plays are going to be there as much.
That's fair. All right, take me through number 9.
Number 9 is Marvin Harrison Jr. In my rankings, I could have him higher. He's 22 years old. That Arizona offense scares me. Like, look what Trey McBride's doing. He's 12 for 12 this past week, maybe even 13 for 13. I quit watching after he finally kept me in my fantasy game this week single-handedly after tinkering too much. But Trey McBride has been so good for them that it's like I put out this week. He's his blankie. He's the safety blanket. So I can't move Marvin Harrison any higher than number 9. I do like him right there, and I think he will be a very valuable asset moving forward.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of Marvin Harrison. I will tell you this: he's not in my top 10. He's also not in my honorable mentions that I will talk about after we get through this. But here's the thing, Brant. As a Marvin Harrison owner this year, he's awful. He's either really, really great or really, really atrocious. But he's that type of guy. He's got that type of presence. The Maserati Marv nickname. I can't bench him. I can't talk myself into putting him on there. He's too good. I don't want to. But Kyler's first read is Trey McBride, who's still young, who's still going to be there next year. There's been comments made by the offensive coordinator. We got to get him the ball more often. We got to get him more involved. And then it's a 15 target game for Trey McBride. Re-signing James Conner means they're still committed to the run game as well. I just, listen, I could see that if this was taken out to the top 20, he would definitely be in there for me. I just can't get myself to put him any higher than that right now, just because of what I've seen on the field at this point.
Okay. Absolutely. Let's hear what your number 9 is.
All right. My number 9 is Drake London, 23 years of age. And a lot like you said, he's really proven himself this year, taking that step forward. Even with atrocious quarterback play out of Desmond Ridder and Marcus Mariota, he found a way to be relevant. Left some sour tastes in our mouth. Some weeks he'd have disappearing acts because of how bad the quarterback play has been. But I think you're finally seeing what Drake London's capable of. Zach Robinson's moving him into the slot a lot, which is an absolute nightmare for wide receivers or for cornerbacks that play on the nickel. He is too big to cover there. He's too quick for linebackers. He's been a matchup nightmare. And this year you're really seeing him be a target hog too. I think he's had plenty of games over 10 targets. Kirk Cousins looks like garbage, but Drake London's still finding a way, even this week with 4 interceptions. Drake London finished close to around 20 points in PPR. He's currently like wide receiver 7 on the season, 70 receptions, 6 touchdowns. I think this is a guy that you could see, as physical and as big as he is, could have 10 plus touchdowns in years moving forward. And like the big thing for me, Brant, is he's 23 years of age and he's got 3 going through his 3rd year of experience too. So definitely a lot of gas left in the tank for Drake.
Yep. The only argument I have is the same thing you said. I don't know who's under center in years to come, and that's the only reason he really didn't move out of the 10 spot for me. That's about the only argument I do have. At my number 8 spot, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Always there, even when it looks like he's not going to do anything in a game. Next thing you know, you look up, he's got 6 receptions, 70 yards. He's always consistent. He's never going to really be a home run play. Maybe twice a year will you get that 40-point game out of him, but he's always consistent. He always is hanging you 15, 20 points a game. So it's always consistent. And so the consistency is what's the best thing right there for me.
Okay. My argument would be that offense loves the run game, 2-headed monster, keep those backs fresh and healthy. Sam Laporta's dropped off the face this year. He's got to bounce back next year. Jameson Williams is emerging. There's just a lot going on in that offense. And I could see, again, I'm not going to disrespect him. He deserves to be in this conversation, obviously. But I could see the argument for having him lower. I could. It's just one of those things that is what happens if it becomes more of a spread the ball out. And hey, this week, Amon-Ra, you didn't get yours, but next week you will, kind of a thing. And then you're sitting there holding the bag of apples, waiting for fantasy points out of him that you just don't get.
Absolutely.
I've got James Cook at number 8, Brant, 25 years of age. He's really showing me everything I need to see this year. The lack of a number 1 wide receiver. Josh Allen spreading the ball out. James Cook is involved in every game. He's making plays. He's just somebody that I genuinely enjoy watching. He's somebody I liked a lot last year and the year before as well. I just think this is one of those guys that he's got to be mentioned in the top 10 in dynasty startups.
Okay. Argument with him, Josh Allen. He's still stealing runs. Ray Davis, you and me talked about this at work. It looked very good in the time that he does spill. And that's just my biggest thing. I just couldn't get him there with Josh Allen under center. Josh Allen's eventually going to get more weapons or develop more chemistry with those pass catchers. So I just don't know if I can quite get him there into my top 10. It was a 3-back top 10 for me. So I just couldn't get him in there.
I got 5 in mind, so we're going to have some different names.
Okay.
All right, so who you got at 7?
My first running back, Breece Hall. The pass catching ability, the home run ability. The offense likes to run through him. He's a great playmaker. He's by far one of the best running backs for fantasy when he's on. Now he has had some stinkers this year, and that's why I couldn't get him any higher because there is no consistency in his game yet. But eventually, you're going to get the young quarterback, and you'll get that there, and that offense I think is going to run through him.
Here's my argument. I did not have Breece Hall in my top 10. I do have him as an honorable mention, so I had him knocking on the door here. My argument, Brant, is simply this. Braylon Allen exists, right? And who the hell knows what the coaching staff's going to look like next year? The coaching staff that'll be coming in had nothing to do with drafting him, had nothing to do with drafting Braylon Allen, may completely leave it up to competition, may say, hey, it's a 50-50 split, may have an offensive coordinator that comes in and says, we're just going to pass the crap out of the ball. We're going to go get a bunch of weapons. We're going to make Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams look phenomenal, and we're going to throw 50 times a game, which is kind of what's happening with Aaron Rodgers a little bit right now, and you're not seeing a whole lot of success out of Breece Hall. I mean, he's still serviceable. Again, he still deserves to be a top 15, top 20 asset in a dynasty landscape. There's too many what ifs and question marks for me. And Braylon Allen is, in my opinion, the best running back out of last year's class that's not getting consistent chances. I think there's a world where he could have went to the Dallas Cowboys and we'd be talking about Braylon Allen as a top 10 asset next year if he would have got a chance to show himself. So I'm just a little bit flabbergasted, I guess, this year on Breece Hall.
Okay. All
right. Here's running back number 3 for me, Brant, and one that I've been out on for quite some time, but here he is. Kyren Williams. I've got Kyren Williams at number 7, 24 years of age. RB1 last year, or RB2 last year behind CMC, sorry. Back in the top 5 again this year. He just does it, man. He just finds a way all the time to be relevant. I thought Blake Corum was going to come in and cut into him hardcore. I thought, the healthy pass catchers was going to be an issue. It's not. He looks good every week. He finds the end zone almost every week, and he's, again, still only 24 years of age. I came on last offseason, Brant, and I said that he was still slow. I trust the NFL scouts, what they were saying. He's too little. He's too slow. He won't make it. Here he is again this year, proving me wrong. It's time for me to get on board with Kyren Williams. I like what I see this year. He's in my top 10.
He is not in my top 10. I am actually out on it with startups because Blake Corum, they drafted so high. I think eventually he's going to get his run. Maybe he's just not getting his feet underneath him as fast as we thought. And now Kyren Williams will be right there on the cusp of the top 10. But I think there's too many. There's going to be another mouth to feed next year. They've given him so much work over the last 2 years that can he just keep it up is my biggest thing.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Who you got at 6?
The 21-year-old Malik Neighbors has only seen under 12 targets or under 10 targets 3 times this year, and that was 9, 8, and 7. Even with Daniel Jones, he still has had a pretty decent year. I'm not going to say he's had a great one. I'm looking right now. He's wide receiver 12, so he is right there in our league. And this guy, he's just phenomenal. He makes outstanding catches. He makes it easy for a quarterback to find. I think that they're going to, unless your name's Daniel Jones or Drew Lock, I mean, they do target the heck out of him, but I think eventually this offense is going to move forward. It's going to go through him. And I think he's going to be the focal point of that wide receiving core. So Malik Neighbors is my guy there at number 6.
Yeah. So not even close for me. My argument would be, again, everything points to coaching changes there, right? Coaching changes, GM changes, quarterback change. Everything is going to be completely different there next year. And what happens if you get somebody like an Arthur Smith who comes in as head coach, who is one of those firm believers that in order to get a lot of run in my offense, you got to be a big bodied wide receiver. Or, what if they decide, hey, we're going to punt on the quarterback this year. We're going to sign somebody like Jameis Winston in a gap year because we don't love the wide receivers in this class, but we love Tate and McMillan or Luther Burden or, one of these other decent wide receivers. There's just too many what ifs for me with him as well. That offense is super lackluster. Running back's a huge issue. He's gotten the crap beat out of him this year. Watching some of the hits he takes, because he does try to make those great catches over the middle. He needs to go have a sit down conversation with Tyler Lockett. And I mean, when he's up doing the Jordan pose at the 50-yard line on a 20-yard reception and getting smeared in half by some of these safeties in the league, it's just not going to hold up long term. I do think he's super electric. I just have too many worries for him. I think I'd probably have him outside of my top 20. I think. I don't know if I'd say outside of my top 25. I don't think I'd have him in my top 20. It'll be interesting to see what next season brings. Again, if there's a good quarterback change or good coach that comes in, then I could see myself getting on board more. But right now, it's just too many what ifs for me, Brant.
Okay.
Hey, guess what? I've got another running back at number 6. I've got Jahmyr Gibbs, the 22-year-old running back for the Detroit Lions. Listen, the only argument I could see against this guy is that David Montgomery exists, but who cares? They've both been studs this year with each other. They were both studs last year with each other. And David Montgomery is going to be out of Detroit long before Jahmyr Gibbs is. So there is a path at some point down the road that, hey, maybe this guy turns from a bell cow to a super bell cow. And then if Jahmyr Gibbs was going into next season and David Montgomery wasn't there, he'd be the 101 in a lot of situations, I think. So for me, this is a guy that I just could not find a reason to leave out. He catches the ball extremely well out of the backfield. He's super electric with his touches. Some games he gets 15 touches for, 100 all-purpose yards and a touchdown. Other games he's got 20 touches. These guys just yin and yang super well together. The Sonic and Knuckles thing is awesome. I'm all for it. And because he's only 22 years of age, I think there's a good chance this guy ends up being a bell cow for many years to come, Brant.
Yep. The only thing I don't like is Montgomery will be out of town shortly. And I think he is what makes Gibbs so electric, because that power running style of Monty, you prepare that, you stack the middle, and then all of a sudden you got Gibbs rushing for 20 yards on the outside. So I think Monty is what makes those electric runs. That's the only downfall I have to it.
So I will say this. I've watched a fair amount of Detroit Lions game this year. You really don't see these guys splitting carries on series. This series is David Montgomery. Mm-hmm. Second series is Jahmyr Gibbs. So it's almost – I almost understand where you're coming from if these guys were switching out every play, but that defense second series, hey, he's coming out. They've done it almost all year. That first series is all Montgomery. The second series is all Gibbs, and it just kind of goes back and forth. So, I mean, the way in today's NFL, the way they change out those defensive linemen and rotate those guys anyway, I get it. But I just think he's a super bell cow without Monty. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Okay.
And I have to say, I don't think there's any way you don't have him in your top 10. So I think we'll talk about him again here in a minute. So we'll see.
So at number 5, I have CD Lamb, 25-year-old. Okay. Dak's still there. We know how well Dak can air out the ball. That offense runs through Lamb. Right now, you're seeing the roughest we've ever seen from the Dallas Cowboys in the past. Well, not ever, but over the last few years, this is the roughest Dallas has ever been. And yet Lamb is still there catching, 6 balls a game.
Not on Thanksgiving, but yeah, normally, yes.
Yeah. Seeing 10 targets a game, catching 6 balls. Normally extremely consistent, and that offense runs through him. And eventually they're going to add a running back. We think it's going to be this year in the draft, and that's going to open up the field even more for him.
Yeah, the only thing I hate about this one, Brand, is that you got to talk about it before I did, because I have CD Lamb at number 5 as well. Same reason. He's a stud. I think if you were tied him to a younger quarterback, if he was with Justin Herbert for the foreseeable future, I think he'd be a top 3 asset because it is Dak, because Dak does have the injury concerns, the injury history, and because Dak's probably only got a few years left with CD. That does make me a little nervous. I know he did sign that 4-year extension this year, so he's still got 3 years on it after that. But how many years of competitive football? We'll see. That's my only thing holding him out of the top 4 or top 3 for me is just the past the Dak years. What does it look like? And so for me, that's holding me back. So number 4.
Jameer Gibbs. Jameer Gibbs, 22-year-old back. It's the Sonic and Knuckles. I'm a huge Sonic and Knuckles guy when I was a kid too. So I still am. I absolutely love it. And what you said is right. That's the first half where they go series by series. If you watch the second half, they start to rotate more 4-down territory. You'll see it like Jameer Gibbs will be in there for the first down, second down, and then you got Monty coming in for the third, or vice versa. They start to rotate even quicker in the second half, and I think that's what makes it so much more explosive is you've already worn down the defense in that first half, and now you're starting to switch it out and make them guess in the second half, and I think that's why I think that's why Gibbs has been so successful in the second half is where he starts to get more burst plays.
Okay. All right. Yeah, again, I can't think anything I would say that I really hate about Jameer Gibbs, except for the fact that, you're not getting the 25 touches a game for him because of the simple fact that Monty exists. But the style of play Dan Campbell's got in that offense and the way that offensive line is constructed, I love everything about the Detroit Lions right now. So much so that I have Amon-Ra St. Brown at number 4. Excuse me. Yeah, that would have been a big reach. Yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown at number 4, 25 years of age. Again, like you said, he is Mr. Consistency, doesn't have those bad games. He just simply plays every week, and he's going to hang you that 25-point game every single week he's on the field. And a couple of times a year, you're going to get those explosions where he's going to win you the week. And on those weeks, it's really nice, but he's just he's good to own all the time, Brant.
Absolutely. I don't have anything to argue. I got him for pennies on the dollar. I think some pocket lint I may have thrown in, and the trade was offered to me, and I've been running with him since. So I can't say no to him.
Yeah, listen, I was kind of shocked you had him way lower than I did in your top 10. It just 25 years of age. Hey, he's a bona fide stud.
Mm-hmm. So my number 3, Jamar Chase. At 24 years old, tied to Joe Burrow, explosive offense. T. Higgins, my guess, is probably out of town. There'll be even more targets opened up. And that's about it. Jamar Chase is a stud, and that's what he is. He's going to constantly be pass the ball as long as Burrow's under center. Now, Burrow does scare me a little bit with his injury history, but it's Jamar Chase. I think he'll make it work with any quarterback.
Okay. So listen, Jamar Chase, Sunday morning on our live start sit, this question was posed to you and I in a redraft format, which kind of got us rolling into this thought process. I said in a redraft, it was Jamar Chase at number 1 for me. My biggest bitch is that you've got him too low, in my opinion. I think he deserves to be the number 1 overall target, or the number 1 overall target. Yeah. In dynasty startups for that number 1 overall pick. I think he's that type of guy that when you own him, you're never out of a week. It doesn't matter how many points down you are. If you've got him to play, you feel really confident about it. And like you mentioned, the future only looks better for him next year. Burrow's going to be there for a long time. Burrow's a stud. And so as that offensive line gets continued to be built, they're going to continue to be better. I love everything that you have with Jamar Chase right now. I just think the only thing I can say is he's too low. That's it. That's all I got.
All right.
So I'm going to say the name of the guy that you clearly have higher than me, and I'm sure your argument's going to be the same. I've got Justin Jefferson at 3, 25 years of age. And listen, my big reason for having him behind Jamar Chase going into this season, I said it was Justin Jefferson was over Jamar Chase for me. And Jamar Chase is outscoring Justin Jefferson. He's outproducing Justin Jefferson. Vikings quarterback play is really the issue. And Sam Darnold's had a darn good year for Sam Darnold. I mean, I don't think the Vikings organization could have asked an ounce more out of him than what they're getting. He's playing really well. And so for me, I think, this just simply boils down to Is Sam Darnold's the starter next year? I think we've seen the ceiling for Justin Jefferson. He's got some weeks where he's inconsistent this year. That didn't happen with Kirk Cousins in town. If it's JJ McCarthy, I don't know what the hell I have. He didn't pass much in Michigan. That was the big thing we talked about with him coming out of college, is we just don't know what we have in him. And so I do have some hesitation there. That's really all I can say about Justin Jefferson.
I think it's the same reason that you said with Jamar Chase with him. I do have him higher, so I do think you may have him a little low. You're never out of a week with him. Just the same thing. I don't think you're ever out of a week with any of these top three. So that's just the only thing I have with it. So I'm just going to go right into my number 2, and that is Bijan Robinson is my number 2. Great backfield. He does have Tyler Algier there, but he's a great pass catcher. In my mind, is probably the second best running back in the NFL right now, behind CMC when fully healthy. I think his patience there, his patience beyond the line is great. His hands are great. It's just when they use him the right way, he is phenomenal. And then you have some stinker weeks, but eventually somebody is going to go, hey, we have a CMC type back. Why the hell are we not using him in that vortex? And this is where, I think Bijan's the number 2 overall guy.
Yeah. Again, no complaints. I've got Bijan at number 2 myself. Again, you kind of mentioned everything that I feel strongly about. Zach Robinson's kind of using him, I think, more in ways that would be relevant to CMC versus what Art Smith did last year. And actually it was talked about this offseason. Hey, you've got a guy like that, you find a way to get the ball into his hand. And they've done that. A lot of these games have been Bijan early and often, and then he kind of shift to Algier in the second half, that grind it down back. But yeah, I really don't have anything to complain about. The offensive line is set up for that Bijan type of running in Atlanta. You got at least another year together with that core of offensive linemen before maybe they start to tail off. So I really don't have any issues with Bijan. I've got nothing to complain about here. So let's get into number 1, Brant. Who you got?
Justin Jefferson. It's another guy that you're never out of weeks with. He's a ball hawk. I know he's got Addison there with him, but I still think that this is the best wide receiver to own. This is a guy that could get you 14, 15 catches a week. He gets targeted. There is huge question marks with, the coaching staff and the QB, but I still think that this is a guy that moving forward will be one of the best assets to have on your team.
Yeah, coaching staff's going to be identical next year. They've overperformed this year. Nobody's changing there except for maybe Brian Flores from the DC role going to a head coach. But yeah, again, for me, it falls back on the quarterback. The quarterback play. Justin Jefferson's ceiling's capped this year. He hasn't had those extremely explosive games like he has in the past. Jordan Addison exists. TJ Hawkinson exists. And both of those guys will ultimately be there for the next 2 years as well. And again, like I said, I don't know what I'm getting out of JJ McCarthy, and I do know what I'm getting out of Sam Darnold. And while it's been very, very serviceable, I think that caps your ceiling a little bit. And that's my only complaint. Listen, I have him at 3. I'm obviously not down on him. It's just between these 2 wide receivers. Like I said, I do think the competition, as the target competition as well as the quarterback play is what scares me there. Obviously I have Jamar Chase at 1, and the big difference between the 2 for me was the quarterback is established in Cincinnati. It's a Pro Bowl level quarterback, a quarterback that can absolutely win a Super Bowl. And T. Higgins is gone. That's the big rationale for me with Jamar Chase. He deserves to be there right now anyway. But next year without T. Higgins, I think it just gets even better.
Okay. All right.
Let's talk about these rookies real quick, and then we're going to get the heck out of here for this weekend until this weekend. Start me off with your rookie. Tell me quickly about who he is and why you like him.
Omarion Hampton, 21-year-old. He will be 22. He turns 22 in March. He'll be 22 at the draft. In some regards, and some scouts and everybody else have him as the number 2 running back in this class. He's at 6 foot tall, 220 pounds, running a 4.44 40.
Mm-hmm.
Outstanding guy. This is a junior out of North Carolina, so he doesn't have to come into the NFL. I do think he will. And he's going to be a great addition to a running back in any team. He could be another guy that it starts in a committee and then takes over the backfield. He was a 4-star prospect coming out of college. He was North Carolina's Gatorade Player of the Year prior to going to the University of North Carolina. He's a great pass blocker. He has good balance. He's great field vision, and he's a decent pass catcher. He's not the greatest. That is one of his weaknesses is when he gets the ball in his hand from a catch, it takes him a little bit to get the ball adjusted into his pocket from the catch. And then other weaknesses, sometimes he runs upright, and he lacks the elite elusiveness coming out of the backfield. In 2024, he's had 281 carries for 1,660 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5.9 yards per carry. He's had 38 receptions, 373 yards, and another 2 touchdowns. He's been over 100 yards rushing in all but 2 games, and he's had 18-plus carries in all but 2 games as well. So it shows that he can be a workhorse back there. I think he had 2 games over 30 carries this year. So he can be a big workhorse guy. And he's running that North Carolina team. So he definitely could be a great future addition for any running back needy team. Dallas.
Right. All right. So for me, I talked about Caleb Johnson out of the University of Iowa. And you brought up the pass catching ability with Hampton. There's less tape out on the pass catching ability of Caleb Johnson, and that's not really his fault. I don't know if you know much about the University of Iowa football, but if you're not a tight end, you're not relevant. They don't catch the ball. They don't throw the ball much in Iowa. It's kind of a ground and pound, salty away kind of a team. But Caleb Johnson, Brant, he's got the body to be in the NFL. He's got the body to be an NFL running back. 6'1", 225 pounds. I did average it out. ESPN says 6 foot. The Hawkeyes website says 6'2". So I said 6'1" because somebody's lying. 21 years of age. He won't turn 22 until training camps report next August. So definitely a baby face here. In 2024, he had 240 carries, 1,537 yards rushing, 6.4 yards per attempt, 21 touchdowns on the season. He only had 22 catches for 240 yards and an additional 2 touchdowns. But again, that's not really the University of Iowa's gameplay. I was actually looking up their quarterback. There's been a couple games this year where their quarterback's thrown less than 15 passes. So it's just not something that happens consistently for the University of Iowa. Now, what I did was I actually went and highlighted some of my favorite games of his this year. When they played Ohio State, Brant, they did lose to Ohio State, but he had 15 carries for 86 yards and 1 touchdown. There's going to be NFL caliber talent drafted off of the Ohio State team. It happens every year. They get all the blue chips. They get the 5 stars. There will be some talent coming off of that roster. The other 2 games that I highlighted, your Washington Huskies after the national college football national championship fall off, 21 carries, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns against them. And then his best game this season against the University of Minnesota, 21 carries, 206 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, Brant. He's got breakaway speed. It's sneaky speed, though. He runs a 4.51 40, so he's not like quick burst, or he has a quick burst. He's not long stance. There could be some issues with him in the NFL getting tracked down by some of these corners and safeties. But I don't typically see that being an issue because I don't see many corners that are going to size up to a 6'1", 225 running back at full speed. They'll be trying to tackle him at his ankles. He's got extremely great balance. He's shifty. He's elusive. I think this guy translates really well. And again, there's Dallas is the obvious spot that I would love him to go, but someplace like Cleveland where they've got, a lot of question marks at running back. This could be a fit, Brant, where he goes to a run heavy team. I think you could be talking about him potentially being in the top 10 the following year.
Okay, absolutely. I don't hate it. I haven't done a whole lot of research outside of the one that I just did. But I definitely can't wait to dive into some of these rookies this year.
Yep. And we will start doing that as the offseason progresses. Obviously, we're both still in so many leagues ourselves that we're still focusing on this season. As playoffs start to round down in fantasy and we get into the NFL playoff world and things. while we're still extremely motivated by football, we will start covering more of these rookies in depth. So stay tuned for more of that. Also, tune in Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Come hang out with us. For most of us, the last week of the regular fantasy season before before the playoffs start. If you're not in the playoffs, come hang out, try to set a good lineup and cheat somebody else out of playoffs or cheat somebody else out of seeding. We'll be there for you.
Talk to us about your DFS lineups. If you're out of the playoffs, there's still DFS that you can be putting some lineups in, and we'll be more than happy to help you with that too. We haven't done a whole lot of that this year with DFS, but we definitely can get involved in that too. We do enjoy doing those too.
Yep. So that does it for this week's show, guys.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys Sunday, and as always, stay hungry.
Stay fat, my friends.